Cadillac is currently at an advanced stage of negotiations to define its team lineup for the 2026 Formula One season. And according to the latest information, the drivers have already been practically chosen. From the outset, there was a very clear intention on the part of the American team to have at least one representative from the United States, reinforcing the project's national identity. However, as discussions progressed, this initial idea was partially reformulated. It now appears that Colton Herta, once considered the central figure of this plan, is out of contention, and two drivers with proven Formula One experience are expected to be hired to lead the team, which will begin supplying its own engines starting in the year 2029. This shift in plans raises several questions, particularly whether the absence of an American driver might disappoint the local audience, who are accustomed to cheering for their compatriots. More importantly, it brings into question the financial impact and commercial strategy of Cadillac, which initially relied on strong emotional ties with the American fan base to boost its new endeavor in Formula One. The announcement of an 11th team entering the grid was received with great enthusiasm by fans and the specialized media, generating significant expectation. However, only now have the real discussions and concrete agreements started to take shape. Through careful market and performance analysis, Cadillac began to evaluate possibilities beyond the initially outlined profile. These alternatives, it seems, are extremely promising. Currently, the two leading names in discussions are Sergio Pérez and Guan Yu Zhou, revealing Cadillac's true intentions. Opting for experienced drivers indicates that the team does not intend merely to participate in Formula One, but aims to be competitive from the beginning. Many critics had associated Sergio Pérez's difficulties in recent seasons with his personal performance, but internal analyses from Red Bull, combined with statements from drivers like Liam Lawson and Yuki Tsunoda, suggest that the problems were more related to the equipment than to Pérez's skills. This new perspective led Cadillac to rethink its criteria, considering that Pérez can offer much more than just race experience. He brings with him a vast technical repertoire, gained from years of competing at the highest level of motorsport, along with a deep understanding of how a winning team like Red Bull Racing operates. Unsurprisingly, Team Director Mario Andretti emphasized the importance of having at least one experienced driver to guide the team through its debut phase. In addition to Pérez, Cadillac also evaluated other respected names on the grid, such as Valtteri Bottas, who has 10 Grand Prix victories, and Daniel Ricciardo, a charismatic and popular winner. However, the Australian has already made it clear that he does not intend to accept offers to return to Formula One full-time anytime soon, making his hiring unlikely at this moment. For the second seat, many believed that Colton Herta would be the natural choice. After all, he symbolized the project of creating a truly American team. However, Cadillac seems to have decided to prioritize Formula One experience over patriotic appeal. It is worth remembering that Sergio Pérez is technically North American, as Mexico is part of the North American continent, which may soften the perception of a break from the original promise. Another factor favoring Pérez is his immense popularity, especially at events held in Miami, Austin, and the Mexican Grand Prix itself. This connection with the public generates not only sporting value, but also significant financial strength, reinforcing Cadillac's presence in these strategic markets. Furthermore, Pérez is one of the few Formula One drivers who brings with him a robust sponsorship package, with investments reaching up to $30 million per season, as confirmed by executives from Telmex, a company linked to billionaire Carlos Slim. Curiously, Cadillac also shows great interest in Guan Yu Zhou for the second seat. Although Zhou initially entered Formula One heavily financed, his career trajectory demonstrates solidity and competence. Even though he was often outperformed by Valtteri Bottas, Zhou managed to earn the trust of Ferrari, which signed him as a reserve driver, indicating that he is still seen as a valuable asset in the paddock. His experience with Ferrari engines also adds an important technical advantage. With the new Formula One regulations focusing on the development of hybrid power units and energy recovery systems, being familiar with the internal workings of a manufacturer like Ferrari could be a crucial advantage for Cadillac, which will use components from the Italian team during its initial phase. Juan Pablo Montoya, a former Formula One driver and a respected voice in the motorsport world, commented on Cadillac's potential lineup, stating that the choice of Sergio Pérez and Guan Yu Zhou would be extremely smart. According to Montoya, Zhou's familiarity with Ferrari systems would be fundamental to accelerating Cadillac's development, offering a significant competitive advantage over other midfield teams. It is important to highlight that despite the initial excitement around Colton Herta, the reality of his situation is quite different. Currently competing in the Indy 500, Herta has made it clear in recent interviews that his passion for the American series is immense, and that he does not consider moving to Formula One a simple decision. Leaving IndyCar would mean giving up professional and emotional relationships built over years, something the young driver is not willing to do impulsively. Herta also commented that the opportunity to race in Formula One has always seemed distant and uncertain, which gradually made him stop prioritizing this possibility in his career plans. This attitude considerably weakens Cadillac's chance of counting on him as the cornerstone of their American project. Aware of this reality, Mario Andretti understood that he cannot force a driver to commit to such an important undertaking without full motivation. Therefore, the search for experienced drivers with leadership profiles and the ability to attract investment has become the team's priority. Beyond the sporting gain, retaining high-profile drivers could guarantee Cadillac access to additional financial resources aimed at developing its own engine, which will be launched in 2029 under the General Motors brand. This will be a historic milestone not only for the team, but for Formula One as a whole, as it represents the definitive entry of a legendary American brand into the most prestigious motorsport competition in the world. Montoya, although praising Herta's quality, warned about the difficulties the young driver would face if he opted for the move. The cultural shock, the adaptation to the European lifestyle, and the high level of demand in Formula One could become major barriers, jeopardizing his growth as a driver. Considering all these factors, the current scenario is clear. Sergio Pérez and Guan Yu Zhou are the standout names to lead Cadillac's new era in Formula One. Both bring distinct but complementary qualities, combining experience, speed, technical development ability, and enormous marketing potential. Although there is still some uncertainty regarding Valtteri Bottas's future and the possibility of him returning as a starting driver, the path seems to be naturally aligning toward a lineup with Pérez and Zhou. Now the question remains, with this duo, will Cadillac be able to compete at a high level from its first season? And thinking further ahead, which other driver could join this ambitious project to strengthen their chances in the World Championship? Leave your opinion in the comments, and right after that, check out the next video that is appearing on your screen right now.